Folks, welcome to race number 13 of the Bwoah Racing League Season 4. I'm Sarthak as always, and unfortunately we won't have Rudra with us today, but then again it is race day at Hungary. Yep, we had the Hungarian GP rerun of the BRL Season 3 yesterday, where the boys got to watch themselves go around the track last season around. Of course, the person on top of the podium was Hyrox 24, and we did have Rusty Nish as well as Accelerate, if I'm not wrong, on the podium as well. So looking forward to see who will be on top today. For those of you who joined us right off the bat, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for, who do you think will be on top of shock qualifying as we get into 18 minutes of shock qualifying. Each driver gets 18 minutes to set a good lap time, which will determine their spot on the grid. For those of you new here, welcome to RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports. This is the Bwoah Racing League Season 4. Of course, we got rain out in shock qualifying today. This makes me a bit more sad that I don't have Rudra in the comms box with me. It would have been a real nice qualifying session having him here with us, but unfortunately he had personal issues to tend to. Let's go straight to the driver lineups for today. We have Eccentric for the Williams team alongside Hyrox 24. We got the Alfa Romeo boys out there. A significant switch in drivers is between the Red Bull boys and the Alpha Tauri boys. Of course, it doesn't really impact the car performance as much, but yes, they have traded seats. Rusty Nish and RB Ferrello have moved from the Alpha Tauris to the Red Bulls, and vice versa with SV11 and Accelerate. So Accelerate in some ways going back to his old car, considering he was in the Toro Rosso last season around. Unfortunately, he's not here out on track. We got Gambler in his spot, the reserve driver. The Mercedes lineup out on track as always, and the Haas boys as well, except General Pepe in attendance as always, but instead of Baby Shumi, we've got the Avocado. We did see him out on track in Silverstone as well. I wonder if he'll be coming out on track more often now. Haven't seen Baby Shumi for a while now. Then again, we got Drunken Monkey alongside Gouts in the Ferrari. This is quite a lineup, Drunken Monkey and Gouts. In fact, Drunken Monkey is coming in to his old teammate's position, Vix356, so he's taking his spot. I'm super excited, and I'm really blown away to the fact that we actually got rain out on track. 16 minutes left to shock qualifying, and the drivers come out on track. All eyes on Freeze. He's put the car on pole twice this season. Can he do it one more time in the wet? Because RB Ferrello will be looking forward to get on top of the podium. He is in the title fight with General Pepe. So wins is what he needs. He's already gotten one so far this season, the only win in the Bwoah Racing League so far. And we've already got a retirement from qualifying, and looks like it's both Gambler and SV11. Rightfully so. That's specifically because they both have a quali ban and will be starting from the back of the pack. Meanwhile, back to the point I was referring to, RB Ferrero. He'll be looking forward to get more wins rather than just podiums. He has been able to put on quite a show, back-to-back podiums across 3 to 4 races, and then got that one particular win. And I'm pretty sure a kind of a mental boost, perhaps, the fact that he's driving in a Red Bull. He's quite the Red Bull fan as well, a huge Max Verstappen fan, a huge Fernando fan as well. So yep, looking forward to see him perform out here today. General Pepe, however, I'm curious to see what his strategy will be. Going into this race, as always, he boasts the lack of practice. I think he's the only driver out on track who has boasted a lack of practice. Yet being able to perform at the level he does every weekend, every race weekend. Seems like we've lost Hyrox24 to an unfortunate disconnection, but I'm sure he'll be coming back soon enough. Let's take a look at chat, considering we've got support coming through for the Haas team all the way. Got General Pepe and Prophecy, their team principal. In General Pepe's year, a vital part he's played so far into the season, and going into the rest of the season, he will continue to play that role. But yep, go Pepe, go is what's going on in chat. KDB with the fastest time so far, 1 minute 28.718. Of course, a bit too early. Eccentric 127.389. Yep, just like how Oxygen was able to perform in the Canadian GP. I won't be surprised if we see Eccentric going toe-to-toe with KDB and General Pepe throughout the race. But then again, the spot on the grid is determined in qualifying. Avi goes a bit wide, just making sure that RB Ferrero's lap doesn't get hindered with. Freeze's time gives him third fastest so far out on track. Trying to get the slipstream he can, UK from General Pepe. He's on a fast lap himself. Meanwhile, in Sector 1, at the exit of Sector 1, Horning on a fast lap himself. Let's stay on board Horning as we go around the hungaroring. And of course, right before the race itself, SV dropped in the chat, SV for points, so he'll be looking to finish in the points today, because a bit disappointed this season, SV as a whole, considering he's not been able to score as many points. He hasn't been able to be at that level of performance we saw him be at the latter half of the last season. Meanwhile, Sector 1, Horning wins purple in Sector 1 and parts of Sector 2 as well. So I wonder if this will give him a time worthy enough in the top 5. Meanwhile, 13 of y'all watching, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. I see a ton of support for the Haas boys, General Pepe, and of course Propsy, who's in comms with him. And also mention which driver you're here for. Who do you think you will come out on top, and who you're here for, who you're here to cheer for. Make sure you mention that quite clearly. Horning does go second fastest, but not for long. UK beats that time, goes second fastest instead. Because UK, another significant driver on the grid, caught off guard with unfortunate disconnections, issues with the game and whatnot. He'll be making, I mean, to be honest, it's not in his hands all the time. It's up to the game in some instances with respect to him, so he'll just be hoping for a good race out on track today. 10 minutes left to short qualifying, and boy, I miss Rudra a lot today. KDB fourth fastest so far, second fastest, beats his own time, and UK is in the process. Gouts, he's on the wheel, and last time around in Silverstone, he was unable to have a good race, mainly because he couldn't choose a setup. Of course, we had the host. As a matter of fact, a new lobby with a custom grid, and Gauts had forgotten to choose a setup, which resulted in him having a horrible race. But then again, this time around, he'll be mindful of that fact. He's got a teammate who's really quick with things like setups and everything. Drunken Monkey, he was a title contender last season around. So this time around in Hungary, I'm pretty sure we're going to see quite the race from Gauts. And I do hope we do. He's been practicing an awfully lot. These days, Big Man Joe locks up just a bit. He's another driver who chooses to start at the back of the pack. Of course, he'd rather enjoy starting in the front. And then again, Big Man Joe, seems like Big Man Joe has left the session. I wonder if all drivers are facing disconnections. Finally, some peace, and both my drivers are on track, says Vex in the chat. Yes, Thunderbird. So the old guard out on track, both Thunderbird and Drunken Monkey. Looking forward to this race. 20 drivers as well, a full racing grid. 8.5 minutes, just over 8.5 minutes of short qualifying left. The eccentric with the fastest lap time, 1 minute 26.660. On board UK, he has invalidated his lap, but will be starting a new fast lap soon enough. Thunderbird still in the pits, but RB Ferrello comes out on his out lap. Forgive me folks, and give me just a minute. We'll be back into short qualifying soon enough. Folks, we are back. We'll be soon enough in the lobby. We resume short qualifying. Yep. Eccentric's lap time still unbeaten. So we clearly didn't miss much. Gouts with being the 4th fastest out on track, and a bit of front wing from the Williams flying off there on the main straight. Set of intermediates on all of them. And I wonder if anyone can beat Eccentric's time. Of course, Hyrox24 still yet to set a time, and so is Avi. General Pepe's lap time, however, currently 7th fastest, of course, on an old set of intermediates. Curious to see if we'll have rain during the race. Stay on board KDB as he begins another hot lap. Minute 27.957. He'll be looking to beat his own time, of course. Track limits plays a crucial role in the race, of course. 1 minute 26.494. Eccentric takes another step forward, beats his own time. It's a purple sector 2 for KDB. Finding it a bit difficult to find grip in sector 3. It comes across the final corner, across the line. I wonder if it'll be good enough for provisional pole. No, it won't. 2nd fastest out on track. 2 minutes left to short qualifying, and Eccentric still holding firm with that time on top of the table. UK starts a fast lap of his own. RB Ferrero and General Pepe still are a bit on the back foot, I'd say, but then again, you'd never know. Some of these drivers, they enjoy starting a bit behind the front runners and then make it a challenge for themselves. Climb to make the climb. Yep, Gouts will be looking to beat lap time of RB Ferrero and UK, I'm sure. He's currently 5th fastest, Gouts, and with 1 minute left into short qualifying, drivers better hurry if they got to start their fast lap soon enough, or they're going to miss out on being able to set one last fast lap before short qualifying ends. Freeze goes 5th fastest and is on another fast lap himself. Invalidated his lap, but doesn't quite matter considering it's his out lap. Gouts. Drunken Monkey goes 12th fastest, and it's a spin. Freeze has spun in sector 2. A bit of yellow flags there for a moment. Lost a bit of his rear going into that right-hander, and will make sure he stays clear of all the other drivers. Sethu RC18 just flew by him. Sethu RC18, a driver of the old guard, as I'd like to say. Short qualifying has ended, and Eccentric will not be able to better his lap time as KDB goes through sector 2. He's the 2nd fastest out on track. I wonder if he can beat that lap time. UK on a fast lap himself, but doesn't seem like he's setting purple sectors, and neither does it seem like RB Ferrero is as he goes through sector 2. Gouts doesn't have a shot at setting a lap time either, so he's currently sitting at 6th fastest, sickening right behind 7th fastest Avi 8th fastest. Now I wonder who will lock out the front row. Invalidated his lap. Freeze has invalidated his lap, so he will stay 5th fastest. Let's stay on board RB Ferrello as he comes across the final corner. And I just wonder if he'll be able to make this happen. Goes 3rd fastest, will start on the 2nd row. A decent place to start for sure. General Pepe will not be able to better his time. Will start 9th on the grid. And KDB comes across the line. Starts on the front row, 2nd fastest in qualifying. UK incredibly slow as he comes across the final corner, so I'm guessing he will be starting 4th. No, he betters his lap time. Starts on the front row, beats KDB's time. UK on the front row. And hopefully, if the game doesn't cause any issues for him, it'll be a good race as well. Eccentric takes pole position in the BRL Season 4 Hungarian GP. What a race we have in store. Eccentric and UK on the front row, KDB as well as RB Ferrello on the 2nd row. Because we got Freeze and Gertz right behind. Two drivers who went wheel to wheel last time around for the latter half of the race itself last season. And you got Sicknig, Avi, General Pepe and Honey to finish off the top 10. Curious to see how General Pepe will do as he's starting in the 9th spot on the grid. We got Drunken Monkey close behind, P11, Harry Rocks 24, P12, Big Man Joe P13, Thunderbird P14, Seto RC 18, P15, Rocketman P16. So Rusty Nish starting at the back of the pack. Unfortunate for him. D Avocado, SV11 and Gamelo, of course, not having set a time in qualifying, considering they have been banned from qualifying today, will be starting at the back of the pack. We've got quite the race in store. Folks, 8 of you all watching, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think will come out on top? And what would you predict going into turn 1? It's always quite the mystery what happens going into turn 1. Hopefully it's clean this time around. We've had races this season where we've seen the whole grid be completely clean through lap 1. Those are the races that brings a smile on our faces, mine and Rud's. And this time, at this point, some might say I've spoken about Rud's in his absence a bit too much. But then again, you can't blame me too much. I'm always comfortable with a co-commentator in the box with me, especially Rud's. So forgive me if I lack topics to talk about. Is that the perfect sentence to make? Then again, I'm badgering at this point. But yep, Eccentric on pole. We got right next to him UK, KDB right behind, as well as RB Ferrello. Yep, 2 title contenders in the 2nd row. The man who leads the driver's title fight is starting P9. And we've got a higher driver on pole. Quite a race this is going to turn out to be. And if you haven't already, 9 of you all watching, hit that subscribe button. We at RoadRunnerRacingCo Esports primarily stream Bwoah Racing League. But then again, we are working on a bunch of other stuff which we'll announce soon enough. And of course, new episodes of the grid sessions coming through in the week. As we wait for UK to give the go, choose the setup and the rest of the boys as well. Make sure you hit that like button as well. Awful long time to ready up, so now I'm wondering if there's an issue with the game. This tends to happen, folks. If you're new here, the game is not reliable, especially on some might say the eve of the new game coming out. But then again, F1 2021 is not set to release until sometime in July. So yep, I am assuming we might just have a custom lobby soon enough. Alright, looks like we do not have a disconnection of any sort, and we will be starting with the session. Woo! My heart almost skipped a beat there because I just quickly went into the Bwoah Racing League WhatsApp and it almost seemed like the race had started. But then again, glad it hasn't. Formation lap. 1 lap around the track before we get into the race itself. Yep, Williams on pole. He's sliding around already. This should be fun. Of course, full wet tires on all cars. And a race we have here to behold. Eccentric leading the pack. KDB right behind. SV11, however, decided to disqualify himself from the formation lap. He will be reassigned his spot on the grid. Go back straight to the grid. RB Ferrello, Freeze, Gouts, Sicknig, UK after a 5-place grid penalty, having had an issue with Avi, a collision in fact. So he'll be starting unfortunately in P7. Of course, all eyes on General Pepe. He's currently about 40 points ahead of RB Ferrello in the driver's title fight. I was just checking, calculating is there any chance we're on the, we're very close to a race where he might just take it away even before the penultimate or the final race, and seems like RB Ferrello still has a shot, and so does KDB in fact, them being just a few points between each other, difference being just a few points. I'm curious to see how this race will turn out. I'm pretty sure General Pepe will be aiming for the win as he always does. He's currently sitting pretty at 6 wins. So if he does win another one, he does tie Big Man Joe with most race wins in the league. A record he's looking forward to beat and establish as his own. Drivers line up to their spots on the grid. Eccentric on pole position. Last time around we had a driver on pole position, a higher driver on pole position was Oxygen in the Canadian GP, went on to win the race. And I just wonder if KDB and the likes of them will give quite the fight to Eccentric. Stay on board of them. Fire lights go out and they shoot down the main straight, as I'd like to say. Stay on board Eccentric. KDB trying to take the fight to him, struggling of course, and at the back of the pack everyone's kept it clean so far. Going into turn 1, he'll dive down the inside. KDB trying to keep it clean as much as possible. RB Ferrello trying to go around the outside of KDB, seems to be lacking the pace to do so. Freeze trying to take the fight. The gaps are becoming humongous, and in the midfield we got a spinning Haas, and I wonder if it's Avocado or it's General Pepe. Looks like it is no, it's not Avocado. It was General Pepe perhaps. Nope, Avocado itself. He reset the track, and I wonder what kind of a penalty he'll receive for that one. No, I was right. Okay, clearly the game messing with me at this point. General Pepe was the Haas to spin, an unfortunate spin at that. He's lost part of his front wings, the end plate, left hand end plate completely missing, but no safety car or yellow flag so far. Eccentric leads the pack, continues to lead the pack. KDB right behind RB Ferrello as well. UK with a double position jump. Avi has fallen down the pack, he's gone back to P10, and the McLaren making the move on Freeze. Lovely to see the top 11 all within a second of each other. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, Seto RC18 losing out on that position to Avocado, because wet conditions proving to be testing for all drivers. Fastest lap, 1 minute 37.452 so far by Eccentric, and he does lead the race. Forgive the game itself for the glitch that shows that KDB leads this race. Seems like we might have had an incident or not. It's just quite the fight in the midfield, isn't it? Thunderbird taking the fight to the newbies, Horning and Avi. Of course, mind you, Mr. Wex is looking at this and saying, Thunderbird, go easy, man. Avi's your teammate for this race. And what a fight we've got in store. Drunken Monkey trying to take the fight to Thunderbird. Members of the old guard, as I'd like to say, he loses it. He loses grip. He loses the rear, but somehow makes sure he doesn't go into the barriers. Well done, Drunken Monkey. Goes to show what a driver he is. Big Man Joe, however, gets that jump in position. And he'll be taking the fight to his teammate, Rocket Man, up ahead. Let's stay on board Horning as he closes that gap to Avi. The wet conditions take a toll on the boys. Meanwhile, Thunderbird seems to have lost out on a position to Rocket Man. Rocket Man in the points. Big Man Joe will be looking to close that gap. Folks, if you're watching this, drop in the chat. Who do you think we'll see on top of the table at the end of this? UK man with a mission as he tries to go down the inside of RB Ferrello, who's gone wide in sector 1, turn 1 in fact. And UK goes up into P3. He's determined to take the fight to the front runners today. His P2 spot unfortunately taken away from him after that grid place penalty. Sector 3 goes yellow, and I wonder who that might be. I think it's Seto RC18 with an issue as he runs P20. Big Man Joe taking that fight to Rocket Man. They're in the same, they're under the same roof, mind you. So I wonder. Big Man Joe, however, doesn't talk much. Taking the fight to Rocket Man. Will try and go down the inside soon enough. Bit of contact there, and I just think he might be messing about with Rocket Man. Early on in the race, RB Ferrero going down the order. I wonder if he had an collision of sorts. Seems to have lost an end plate, and yes, he has. Not going to work out for him in the title fight. He'd want to make that climb back to the top, and we've seen him make that climb on more than one occasion in the Bwoah Racing League before, and he loses a position to Avocado Thunderbird, but of course Avocado's dive bomb didn't quite work out in his favor, goes completely wide. And a Williams gone wide, Hyrox 24. As his teammate leads this race. Gouts trying to go around the outside of RB Ferrello. Will he get it done? I wonder. RB Ferrello trying to keep it on track. Those conditions are proving to be treacherous. But Gouts has Avi to worry about right behind. Horning in the mix as well. Seems to me Rocketman has lost that position to his teammate. Gouts gets a 3-second time penalty as well in the process. A driver who's kept it clean more often than not receives the time penalty in lap 4. Last time we had this much rain was Monaco last season perhaps. Even Monaco this season we did have rain, but not as much. What a midfield battle this is proving to be. Meanwhile, Rusty Nish making the climb. He's up at a P12. And we got SV11 to worry about. Soon enough, wheel to wheel they go. At least they try to go, because Drunken Monkey almost lost out on his position on the race itself. He almost got sent into the barriers. And an ambitious dive down the inside. He almost tried. He peaked, but couldn't quite get it done. And yes, Drunken Monkey has lost out this time, gone into the barriers and losing position after position. And sector 2 and 3 go yellow. And you got an Alpha Tauri in sector 2. Completely on track, beached on track almost. And he's lost an end plate as well. Right up the order, we see RB Ferrello losing on positions as he dives into the pits. Switch to tires, new fresh set, wets. And in the midfield, rightfully so, Big Man Joe taking that fight to Horning. Avi and Gouts. Sector 3 goes yellow. We got General Pepe running in P19, a position you wouldn't see him running usually, but he does get that move done on Setu RC18. Wheel to wheel they go. Remember, both race winners in the Bwoah Racing League. One six-timer and another driver who came up victorious in Spa last season. Yep, General Pepe will have the upper hand and continue ahead with his climb. Up ahead, horning with that gap close. He's on the tail of Avi. He's been on the tail of Avi for a while now. Because this should be an easy one as General Pepe gets past the Avocado, who will do a good job at holding up Setu RC18 for just a while. See on board, horning. The Mercedes drivers are having a good time out on track. They've got a steady P4 and P8 position so far. Big Man Joe, you saw his car hop on screen. Well, that was a disconnection, unfortunately. And soon enough, he'll be back, I'm sure. Sick Nick losing the position. Spun as well, so an incident perhaps, I presume. But Big Man Joe ghosted as he's facing a disconnection, horning on the tail of Avi. Trying to close that gap. He's kept it rather clean so far. Manjo has returned. Meanwhile, SV11's running P13. And take that fight to Thunderbird. Two good friends off track from what I've heard. We're trying to close that gap because gap's becoming bigger as we go from the front of the pack to the back of the pack. Seems like we've got an incident yet again, perhaps. At the back of the pack, Hyrox 24 goes into the pits for a new fresh set of wets. And I've lost time gaps between drivers. The game has done it yet again, folks. Yet again. Because Atul Sharma in the chat showing his support to Gouts, who's currently running P5. And looks like Javi and Awning go wheel to wheel as they go through the final corner of the track. But right behind Big Manjo, he likes to capitalize on instances like these. He's got the slipstream, he's gotten the move done on Avi. This time around, can he get it done on Awning? As he goes into turn one, will peek down the inside, will have the upper hand as well, and gets the move done. Folks, there you go. That is a 7-time race winner for you, Mr. Big Manjo. And Avi behind has lost track position and completely everything at this one. He's going down the order. P10. He's gone off track. I wonder if he lost grip and spun. Thunderbird now the leading Renault in P10. SV11 gets the move done on Avi while he encountered issues. Meanwhile, up ahead, KDB closing that gap to eccentric. Half a second gap right now. With General Pepe preoccupied in P14, this is his shot at a possible race win. And keeping it. Mind you, General Pepe, man on the mission just like UK. He's been on a climb. He had an unfortunate spin in lap 1. Put him at plumb last, evidently. And right now he's running P14. He's got RB Ferrero, ironically his title contender, to fight with for track position. So both drivers on that climb. I'm pretty sure KDB at this point, if he knew or if he even knows, is smiling, sitting, running P2. And we've got a couple of my friends in the chat. Thanks for coming by. And on track, we've got Big Man Joe taking the fight to Gouts. Yep. With my friends in chat, this is probably a right moment to mention that Gouts was in fact Big Man Joe's senior back in school. And now they're fighting for track position in the Bwoah Racing League. Isn't that quite a story? And Gauts will be cautious. He knows what kind of driver Big Man Joe is. And of course, Big Man Joe, being the driver he is, will keep that gap close enough, under half a second. And going into possibly the main straight is when he'll consider to pull off a move as they go through sector 2 now. So quite a while before that happens. Horning, however, might just capitalize on this and close that gap to Big Man Joe. Up ahead, the gap hasn't quite reduced as you might think. General Pepe, having made the move done on his title rival, will try and close that gap to Avi this time around. But Avi seems to have disconnected completely. So now I assume he might just get that rather easily compared when he might actually would have to fight for position with Avi. Yep, on the main straight as I predicted, but not Big Man Joe to Gauts, but Horning in fact go wheel to wheel with Big Man Joe down the inside line, both drivers from the Roadrunner Racing stable, and he'll keep the position. Big Man Joe goes wide in fact in sector 1, and I just wonder, sector 1 goes yellow as well, sticks to the tail of Horning however. And looks like I've lost gaps once again. General Pepe, he's climbed position after position. Can anyone stop him at this point? He's currently running P10 and I wish I could jump to him, but I have to stay on board Big Man Joe and Horning because these guys are awfully close, aren't they? It seems like Horning has gotten it done. Yep. Move done successfully. Next up is Gauts on his list. And Big Man Joe has Rocketman, his teammate, to worry about, but the gap is significant, even though I can't see it. Pretty evident from Rocketman's POV that Big Man Joe isn't in his line of sight. Rusty Nish running P9 and has a Hungary for position General Pepe to worry about. And Rashinish goes wide and evidently almost seemed like letting go of General Pepe. But then again, some might say it's not his fight. The fight isn't with General Pepe for him. Fight is with the rest. A 15-second gap between Rocketman and Big Man Joe. That answers the question to why I couldn't see Big Man Joe on Rocketman's screen. 3-second time penalty for Freeze, who's running P4. And mind you, General Pepe running P9, he's kept it completely clean so far. Not a single second of penalty. Gauts fending off our two real competitive drivers. And up ahead, KDB might just have gotten position as Eccentric dives into the pits for a change of tires. UK, will he be able to get that jump in position as well? Sector 1 and 2 go yellow as I see a Red Bull. Is that a Red Bull? I presume it possibly could be. And is it Ferrello? I think there was a bit of an issue and it did seem like the Red Bull of Ferrello. Well, let's quickly go back. Eccentric coming out a bit ambitious, some might say, but the rain has reduced. So he's out on the intermediates. The first driver to come out on the intermediates. And let's go down the order as Gauts 6 holds on to that P4 position. Freeze goes in and seems to me that Mercedes ended up double stacking, which might have just messed up one of the drivers' race. And I wonder if it was Horning's race that just might have taken a bit of a toll. Yep, Big Man Joe goes ahead as well. A wrong call on the pit stop. Perhaps. Freeze now running P6, while Horning will come out P11. Unfortunate for him. However, it is all eyes on General Pepe, who's currently running P7 on the 7-lap-old Vets. Abi Ferrero going down the order yet again as he goes into the pits. Most of the drivers out on track going into the pits for a fresh set of intermediates, hoping to have that much of space in the race against all these guys on full wets running ahead of them. Because what will KDB do? He leads this race and is currently has decided to stay out on track on lap number 12 with the 11 lap old wets. And up ahead, Gauts seems to have lost that position to Big Man Joe finally, and Big Man Joe goes into the pits. Yes, he does, and so does Gauts. Meanwhile, SV11 trying to take that fight to his friend Rusty Nish as Rusty Nish dives down the inside of Rocket Man. Peaks, however, couldn't quite get the move done, and Rocket Man goes into the pits. Rusty Nish will stay out on track, and Horning gets that position on SV11. Intermediates proving to be worth it. Awfully close, and Rusty Nish seems to have misjudged that turn 1 and lost out on a position for Horning. Meanwhile, Gauts running a steady P6 on intermediates. And look at that gap between Freeze and UK, 38 seconds between P3 and P4. Chetu RC18 makes his way out of the pits. He's on full wets, however. Eccentric sets the fastest lap now, 1 minute 30.081. Thunderbird tumbling down the order as he's in the pits. And the drivers with the closest gap between them. Looks like it's got to be Rusty Nish and Horning. And as KDB lost out on the race lead as he went into the pits for a fresh set of intermediates, that 7-second gap he'll be looking forward to close in on. Pepe, however, running P10. Meanwhile, KDB's teammate Sicknick running P16, taking the fight to Hyrox 24, the Williams. So there's a racing point in Williams fighting for the race lead, evidently, and we've got these two fighting for P16. P15, in fact, wheel to wheel they go, and Sicknick gets it done. SV11 dives into the pits for a change of tires, and so does Rusty Nish. Front wing change as well. RB Ferrello goes wide now. Could this be a statement made? SV, a determined SV, trying to take the fight to the two boys who kind of took his spot. Perhaps, of course, it makes no difference considering it is all equal performance. But then again, knowing SV, he might just might find it even more exciting having beaten both the Red Bulls today. If he does, that is. He's currently running P12 in between those two Red Bulls. General Pepe up in P8 right now. And RB Ferrero dives down the inside of Rocket Man and will have that position. Rocket Man being cautious, of course, of Ferrero. Stay on board SV11. He takes the fight to Rocket Man. Gambler currently a minute off of the Avocado. Rockman seems to have gone a bit wide. Sector 2 goes yellow as well, and I wonder what's wrong there. It seems like an Alpha Tauri, and presumably so will be Gambler. On the main straight, right behind Rusty Nish has Sicknick to worry about, who's making quite a climb. Oh no, seems like that's Williams of Eccentric, I'd presume. He is lapping Rusty Nish. And KDB just went fastest all sectors, purple. Yeah. Looks quite good, doesn't it, the track map? Completely purple. Because gaps are huge in the front. 21 seconds to KDB, UK. And 16 seconds to UK is Freeze. Horning, however, trying to take that fight to Gouts. After an unfortunate pit stop debacle, Gouts will try and fend off Horning as much as possible. And on the main straight, I just wonder he'll have everything he needs, considering it is Gouts. He won't give in that easy. Going into turn 1, can Horning fancy a move perhaps? Doesn't seem like it. Will stay on Gouts' gearbox going into the rest of the sector, and we'll have to wait for a more appropriate part of the track to make a move. Hyrox 24 gets handed a 3-second time penalty. Sector 2 goes yellow, and yet again it is the AlphaTauri Gambler not having the greatest of days out on track. He's lost his end plates and will be looking forward to go into the pits and possibly come out on track with a new front wing. Meanwhile, the Avocado going a bit off track there. Sector 2 goes yellow as well. Seems like the Avocado has disconnected. Sector 3 goes yellow as there is a racing point, I presume. Nope, looks like it's a Williams. Yep, it was a Williams of Hyrox 24. He's lost an end plate, but back in the race. He's on 8-lap-old wets. Back to SV, who's trying to take the fight to Rocketman. Meanwhile, Drunken Monkey running P17 takes the fight to Hyrox 24, peeks down the inside, a bit of contact there, but around the outside he should be able to go wheel to wheel. They do, and Drunken Monkey should have it done, and I'm sure Hyrox 24 will be trying to close that gap and possibly get that position. No, it seems like Drunken Monkey's pace is too much for Hyrox 24 to handle. He goes up into P16. Up ahead, Eccentric sets the fastest lap time as we go on board Horning, who's still struggling to make that move on Gouts. But should have an advantage going into Sector 3, I presume. Meanwhile, up ahead, Big Man Joe taking the fight to Freeze. Quite the Season 3 vibes I'm getting out on track today. Even though the higher driver is the one leading this race, Freeze has Big Man Joe on his gearbox. KDB gets a 3-second time penalty, the first time penalty of this race for him. And UK would have had a smile if that gap was smaller, and AWS says pit window open for a one-stop strategy, but the boys have already pit, so clearly Bezos has a lot to work on. But you didn't hear that from me. Hyrox 24 in the pits and Big Man Joe running P5. That gap extended just a bit as we skipped to another driver. Of course, Thunderbird closing that gap to the Avocado. Tried to peek around the outside. Seems to have messed it up just a bit, but that gap's still close enough. A bit of contact with the Avocado as well. Will try and get the slipstream he needs. And tries to peek around the outside, doesn't quite get it. Again, this fight's gonna continue for a couple of more turns, I presume. And I've lost gaps once again. He's doing a mighty job at staying on his gearbox. And yep, the Avocado makes a mistake, goes wide, just what he needed. Thunderbird will have that position. You slip once, and that's more than enough for Thunderbird to get that position he needs. Next up, Drunken Monkey. And up ahead, Rusty Nish trying to take the fight to SV11. And SV11's attempt at taking the fight to Rocketman has gone in vain, as it might seem. Rocketman having had pulled away just a bit. Okay, folks, looks like there's only 3 drivers out on track who've kept it clean so far. It's Sicknig, S311 and Eccentric. Meanwhile, General Pepe, what a climb he's made. He's running P8, while RB Ferrello, his title contender, running P10. So both drivers, mighty climb indeed. Up ahead, Horning, still trying to close that gap to Guts. He better make it quick because he's got a hungry for position General Pepe right behind. Precision through every corner. That's what he's aiming for, and undoubtedly so, being able to achieve it. Lap number 19, he's got 16 laps and a lot can happen. Avi seems to have disconnected, which means RB Ferrello should be able to close that gap rather conveniently. Now locks up the front left, however, General Pepe. Meanwhile, SV11 seems to have gotten within half a second of Rocky Man. Of course, 11 of you all watching, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for. Which driver are you here to support? Show your support, of course. Avi seems to have reconnected, and that means RB Ferrello got away with a second closed in on Avi during that disconnection. Meanwhile, up ahead, Horning seems to be in attacking distance. Fair enough, Gouts weaves to the right, weaves to the left, and into turn 1. Horning will not have an advantage. Of course, mind you, Gouts going into lapping the avocado. Meanwhile, General Pepe looking at this, and he's looking at this from a driver title point of view, and he's saying, my oh my, 2 sitting ducks, 2 easy positions to be achieved. And on the tail of Horning, he will go. Horning gets the move done, however, on Gouts. Should be able to wheel as they go through sector 2, enter sector 2. In fact, Horning needs to be cautious because he's got General Pepe to worry about, who's trying to be cheeky and dive down the inside of Horning, but won't be able to just yet. 3 drivers fighting for position, and General Pepe went onto the grass a bit too much. Seems to have lost a bit of time to Horning. Surprised not to see him go into the barriers, but somehow keeps it on track. Horning got away lucky there, but Guts, however, brilliant job fending off Horning and General Pepe. Horning will attempt to peek down the inside. Guts needs to hold on to that position, hold on to that racing line, in fact, to make sure he denies Horning the position he wants as they come along the main straight. General Pepe a bit too far off, but Horning is just within the distance of Guts, and I wonder if he'll weave right this time. No, he will not, and the position will be kept. Seems like this might just go on for a bunch of laps. A couple of more laps, folks. Or not, peeks down the inside, contact as well. That almost sent Gouts into a spin, but around the outside he goes. General Pepe off Horning, and Horning gets pushed off wide as well. General Pepe gets that position, and I'm pretty sure Horning is not pleased by that. He's still in contention for position, however. As General Pepe on the tail of Gouts, they'll continue the fight. Horning should be able to capitalize on this. We almost did see General Pepe capitalizing on it, almost passed both cars in the last lap. And the fight continues. Gouts seems to be having just that much of an edge on General Pepe. Meanwhile, down the order, SV11 and Sicknig, both drivers having kept it clean. Usually known to be drivers who aren't quite clean are the ones without penalties. How ironic is that? Clearly, Hungaroring bringing the best action for us today. Thunderbird gets slapped with a 3-second time penalty. As SV11's Gouts has had an incident and he's fallen down the order just when I thought it was wise for me to switch the camera to SV11. Unfortunate for him. Truly unfortunate. As Big Man Joe takes the fight to Freeze. Continues to take the fight to Freeze. Meanwhile, Rastinish seems to have lost that position to Sicknig down in P13. Yep, as Freeze goes into the pits, Big Man Joe will get that position and General Pepe should be able to too. Finding it difficult at this point, General Pepe. And yep, there you have it, folks. The amount of penalties each driver has racked up. KDB with the 6 seconds, UK with the 3-second penalty, Big Man Joe with the 3-second as well, Freeze with 6 seconds as well. General Pepe with 3 seconds, all the way down to RB Ferrero, all have 3 seconds. Sector 1 goes yellow. And Horning goes into the pits as well. Are we running P9 and should be able to get that jump on Horning as he exits the pits soon enough. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, Irox 24 takes the fight to D Avocado. Until the Avocado will die down the inside, and I presume, nope, doesn't risk it. Irox 24 and going incredibly slow. Goes onto the grass just for a bit and will have lost out on time to the Avocado. He will stay P19. Unfortunate for him. Of course, SV11 running P12 and is in constant I'm at a loss of words at this point. SV11 desperately trying to get that position off of Rocketman but unable to. He has kept it clean, however, no penalties so far, along with his friend, do I say friend? A driver who is, two drivers who've been accused of being dirty in the league, Sicknig and SV11, sit with absolutely no penalties. Eccentric has gone into the pits after 11 laps on the intermediates. And that 9-second gap isn't looking pleasing for KDB. Goes in the pits, fresh set of intermediates are on, and that gap to UK and Big Man Joe should not be an issue of any sorts. 3-second gap, however, between Eccentric and KDB. UK dives into the pits himself. Big Man Joe currently out on track. General Pepe will try and close that 15-second gap to him. We are on lap number 24 of the Hungarian GP of the Bwoah Racing League Season 4. 9 of you all watching. What do you all think about the race so far? Who do you think has had the best race so far? 3-second time penalty for Eccentric. Now KDB is smiling because he had a penalty of his own. Now he doesn't have to worry about it too much. With the lead driver having handed 3-second time penalty himself. 4-second gap, however, he'll be looking forward to close that gap as he comes close to lapping Rocketman. Gambler has retired from the session, and that is, I presume, is a voluntary retirement. Yep, a terrible race for Gambler. An entire lap down of the driver running P19, and he has left the session. Unfortunate for him. He's had his good days as well here in the BRL, but unfortunate how this race has turned out for him. His teammate, however, was running a healthy P12, now running a distraught P15, and is going into the pits as well. So on lap number 25 with 10 laps to go, Eccentric leads this race as he has been since lap 1, and KDB running P2. Let's quickly jump to Setu RC18 as he takes the fight to Rustiness. Goes a tad bit wide over the curb there, Rustiness. A bit wide once again. Yep, should have closed that gap. Both on the same set of tires, same age for both tires as well. 3-second time penalty, however, so for Setu RC18. Rustiness still holds on to that position. No mistakes is what's going on in his head. Setu RC18 has done a brilliant job at keeping that gap within half a second. Just needs to get the move done, and we'll be able to going into the next sector perhaps. Almost had a bit of contact there. Will keep it, however, on the tail of Rustiness. Main straight is where I predict he'll be able to pull off a move, but knowing Setu RC18, he just might fancy earlier on. Final corner, and yep, we are at the main straight on the tail of Rustiness. Setu RC18. Turn 1 will we see the move being made. Rustiness goes to the right. Will have the slipstream he needs. Setu RC18 around the outside. Will go wheel to wheel with Rustiness, but Rustiness should be able to fend him off just a bit. Yep, a bit of contact there pushes Setu RC18 off track as well. But I presume it won't go play in his favor. Rustiness. Yep, Setu RC18 will have it. Will have that position and is up in a P13. Sector 2, however, goes yellow, and that is Alfa Romeo and Racing Point, who I presume would have gone wheel to wheel. Rocketman getting a 3-second time penalty as well. Currently running P12. Rocketman lost out on the position to Sicknick P11. Nine laps left, folks. 9 laps left, and Eccentric still leads this race, and that gap to KDB only extends all the more. Are those rumblings I hear? Are those? Is that possibly? Does that possibly mean we might just have a tad bit more rain in the last couple of laps? Sector 2 goes yellow, and I wonder why. Seems like 3-second time penalty for Rocketman yet again. And this part of the day, of the race, is the part where things are a bit silent. You know, huge gaps all around. 28-second gap between UK and KDB. Whopping 25-second gap between B Avocado and High 24. And we've got 10-second gaps all up and down the table. So things do get awfully quiet. Because 2 drivers, surprisingly enough, still with no penalties, Sicknick and SV11. Well done to them. 7 laps left to the Hungarian GP. What a race we've had so far. Definitely one of the most entertaining races. Monaco from last season definitely was as entertaining as this one, and this one's probably much better off considering no DNFs as much, at least out on track. No safety cars. Gambler voluntarily retired in the pits. Clearly a race much better than usual. Rusty Nish, however, goes into the pits, will come out on a fresh set of softs. He's the brave one of the pack. First one out on softs. I think SV11 is a bit intimidated by looking at this. Rusty, what have you done? You've come out on softs, have you? And off they go. You see that. You see the track taking its toll on those tires. Slides off Rusty Nish in turn 3, I presume. Yep, turn 3. Nice power slide on turn 3. Stay on board, Rusty Nish. Let's see how he'll be able to cope up on track with those softs. SV11 gets handed a 3-second time penalty. And yep, that is a spin and into the barriers he goes. A bit of the front wing flies off as well. I presume that will be yellow wing for him. Probably not, probably a bit too early perhaps for bringing out the south. Yep, he's finding it incredibly difficult to keep that car on track. Sector 2 goes yellow. He's being lapped by the front runners. Thunderbird gets that position on him as well, and his teammate just lapped him. RB Ferraro, round P9. Stay with Rusty Nish, however, considering there aren't much drivers with small gaps out on track. And yep, that is contact between Rusty Nish and Hyrox24. Hyrox24 will not be pleased with that. He's desperately trying to return back out on track. Resets as well. Yep, lap number 30, 5 laps to go, and I have a feeling Rusty Nish right now is testing the track for his teammate. Something Thunderbird used to do last season around 4 Accelerate, and he's come out on softs as well. So yep, Thunderbird and Rusty Nish, the two drivers out on softs. Trying to see where the grip is, if it is feasible to come out on the softs. Thunderbird, however, awfully close to Hyrox24. Hyrox24 seems to be facing the brunt of it, of these two drivers coming out on the softs. He's had a bit of contact with both Rusty Nish and Thunderbird so far. Seems like Rusty Nish is up to pace, perhaps. Sector 2 goes yellow, however, no, Thunderbird goes into the barrier, spins off, in fact, with those fresh set of softs. Yep, finding it difficult to find grip. Rusty Nish, after a lap on the softs, I presume, finding it much better out there. So yeah, we're on lap number 30. Rusty Nish much more comfortable compared to Thunderbird on the softs. Thunderbird, however, still searching for grip out on track. Slipping a bit. I'm pretty sure information's being sent straight to their drivers who are currently going up against each other, P8, P9. Avi and RB Ferrello. So yep, each point matters. Each position in the points positions matter. Clearly, that's what they're playing towards. Rusty Nish currently running P19. Still finding it a bit difficult. He dives into the pits. Probably not as feasible as he thought it would be. Thunderbird, however, stays out on track with the softs. Could we see a voluntary retirement, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane? And sector 1 goes yellow. Thunderbird has spun yet again on those softs. New front wing comes on, and new set of tires. Fresh set of intermediates. Rusty Nish will return back out on track, and Thunderbird resumes the race on softs. still finding it incredibly difficult to find grip out on track. This track only have one thing to keep the weather conditions dry. Yep, unfortunate for you, Gambler. It was unfortunate to see you run dead last and of course DNFing at the end. Yep, there goes the board. Brake marker, I presume, or an advertisement for Rolex. Either way, Thunderbird knocks off a styrofoam board and continues to find it difficult on the softs. Drunken Monkey gets handed a 3-second time penalty on lap number 32 and gaps are only extending, so I'm gonna go on Big Man Joe has left the session. That's gonna be an issue. It's gonna be an issue. I'm pretty sure he'll rejoin soon enough. Thunderbird still finding it difficult. Forgive me for cutting myself off there. And yep, I was just about to say, I presume this will be the finishing order. Of course, taking into consideration the penalties, of course, the post-race penalties which will be implemented eventually. Big Man Joe has returned. So, yep, that won't trigger much of a change. Of course, up the order. Drunken Monkey and SV11 go wheel to wheel. Finally, some racing action, some might say. Drunken Monkey seems to have ghosted. SV11 trying to take the fight to Drunken Monkey wheel to wheel. They will be cautious this time around. Drunken Monkey as SV11 goes around the outside. Bit of contact between SV11's rear left and Drunken Monkey's front right. And yep, looks like Drunken Monkey has lost position. Is trying to lap Thunderbird and will be able to as well soon enough. Rusty Nish trying to unlap himself in the process. And seems like I've lost the gaps between drivers. SV11 going off into the grass. Unfortunate for him, will lose the position to Drunken Monkey. And right now SV11 not sitting pretty in P15. It is undrivable. Understandable, Gambler. Meanwhile, UK runs a steady P3. It'll be his second podium of the season, I presume. Forgive me if my stats are a bit out of date. But Sector 3 goes yellow, and I wonder who that might be. We got a bunch of cars there trying to lap themselves, unlap themselves. Thunderbird dives into the pits. Pretty much undrivable, I presume, on those softs. 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings for Avocado. And Thunderbird will get a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as I presume. Fresh set of inters coming on. And I wonder if he's looking for that fastest lap. The return, will he be able to get it done? Will Thunderbird be able to set the Thunder lap in the Bwoah Racing League? Ever since we renamed it, I've been getting flack for it, considering he hasn't been able to set the Thunder lap ever since. SV11 taking the fight to Drunken Monkey yet again. On the tail of Drunken Monkey, peeks down the inside, unable to get the gap he needs to pull off a move. Meanwhile, up ahead, RB Ferrello takes the fight to Avi. Bit wide as well. And yep, wheel to wheel they go. Drunken Monkey will have to give up the position, I'm sure. No, he dives down the inside, takes the fight back to SV11. SV11 goes a tad bit wide. Drunken Monkey loses his rear just for a bit. Sends him sliding for just a second or so. But on the main straight, he'll pull away steadily. SV11 will get that position and will run a steady P14. Up ahead, however, RB Ferrero trying to take that fight to Avi. Those points will matter more than ever. on the tail of Avi around the outside. Incredibly late braking by RB Ferrello. Wheel to wheel with Avi into turn 1. Avi makes a mistake, loses it just a bit, and that's just what he needed. RB Ferrello played into his hands, isn't it? Played into his hands. Sector 1 goes yellow, and I presume it was for that moment with Avi. But RB Ferrello up into P8. He'll be glad about that. General Pepe running P5. What a race he's had. What a climb he's made so far. But Eccentric is the man of today. What a race. What a race by Eccentric. Clearly the higher drivers coming in for these races prepared to their best. And as he comes across the Sector 3, he becomes the second higher driver in the league to have finished this race on the top step of the podium. Yep, it's on the main straight. Eccentric for the first time in the Bwoah Racing League takes the checkered flag as a race winner. And KDB, what a race KDB's had as well. After that 5-second grid penalty being handed to UK, he started on the front row and has kept it there so far and till the very end. KDB finishes this race P2. A good points haul for him, and in the driver's title as well. UK, unfortunate grid penalty for him. He was very furious about it, but then again he's been able to perform as he's shown time and time again. I think, I really feel, and I say this on and off away from the live stream itself, if the game is a bit more empathetic towards UK, we could have seen him fight for the driver's title. He comes across the line, weaving, swerving, gets that podium. He thoroughly deserves P3, and I just wonder if he has a bit more time penalty compared to Big Man Joe. I don't think that'll matter, because Big Man Joe has a 26-second gap to UK. And yeah, going back to Big Man Joe, he said that he'd like to stay clear of the chaos that unravels in the midfield, but he's brought home a steady P4 result for his team. And of course, General Pepe right behind. He will still lead the driver's title, but he finishes P5. And after post-race penalties, General Pepe might be just a tad bit angry at himself, because it was just a minute gap to Big Man Joe that he could have gotten a P4 in the race today. Driver of the day, rightfully so, Big Man Joe. What a race he's had. Fascination has left the session, of course, and a quick peek into the Alfa Romeo garage with the mechanics on top of the car. Of course, all eyes on Eccentric as he wins this race as a higher driver. Oxygen also in the same spot in the Williams, right next to Hyrox 24. Won the race in Canada. Eccentric coming through and pulling off a spectacular drive at a wet Hungarian GP race. KDB on the podium and UK as well. Two good friends wraps up the podium. Yeah, what a race we've had. The fastest lap, however, going to Big Man Joe. 1 minute 25.393. He's really pushed his tires to the limit, didn't he, on that lap. Brilliant race, none of doubt. Got to finish, bringing home a decent points haul for the Ferrari team as well. Freeze doing the same. Unfortunate. I'd assume Horning could possibly have been right behind Freeze if that double stack would have gone in their favor. But then again, a points finish nonetheless for both of the Merc boys, and a good points haul at that. The only constructor in the points, who got both cars in the points. Well done to them. And what a race we saw from the midfield and the back markers as well. We had quite the treat from Drunken Monkey SV11 and Rocket Man Setu RC18 as well. Mighty race. Unfortunate for Gambler, however, had to voluntarily retire after a disastrous 20 laps. But folks, 7 of y'all who stayed till the very end, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you again next weekend. And I must mention, please keep in touch with our Instagram. We stream the reruns of the season 3 on Saturdays right before the race itself, one day before the race, and also through the week. So yep, looking forward to see you all at the reruns we stream live onto Twitch. Of course, links to our Instagram in the description. Make sure you check that out. And for everyone who came by, thank you very much. We'll see you again next race weekend. Adios, folks.